when you were having sex with your wife unprotected, how did it make you feel knowing that you were engaging in this outside behavior that was so risky?
Oh, I didn't even think about it. My mind would kind of shut down. I know in hindsight now, it was stupid, and I was stupid for putting her at risk the way I did. But I was so caught up and so selfish, and the only thing I did was think about myself. I didn't think about the family. I didn't think about her. All I thought about was being sexually satisfied. So when I would go out and have sex with a man, and then I would go home and get in bed with my wife, and then she and I might make love, we may not. Sometimes it would really cause me to have some serious emotional setbacks. But I tried to talk myself out of what I was doing was really not hurting anyone. So it was kind of a sick way of thinking.
Warning: this video may contain content that some viewers may find intense or inappropriate. Viewer discretion is advised. Video begins in 37 seconds.
How many years into your marriage did you start actually having sex with men?
Oh man, I mean, mentally, I was having sex with men way before I got married, mentally. It took me a long time to really actually step out there and try it. I would say going into the marriage, I wanted to have that experience. And I think it didn't take very long because I was in the military, so I was stationed overseas, and my wife was still in the United States. And so when I got over to the country where I was stationed at, I had an opportunity to really explore. I did some lightweight exploring before she even joined me overseas. So from the very beginning, really, from the very beginning, and going into the marriage, I didn't go into the marriage being honest with her or honest with myself. So she really didn't marry the person she thought I was. I think that's the biggest deception when you live a double life, is that the person who falls, the female, the woman who falls in love with you, she's really not falling in love with somebody she really knows. Yeah. She's falling in love with a person you want her to know. So down low men are excellent actors. We are excellent actors. We know how to give the right performance. We know the right things to say. We know the right things to do. We know how to manipulate women, and we know how to make sure that they stay clueless as we live our double life.
When I first saw the initials DL, I immediately thought it was in reference to double life, but I realize now it stands for down low. Well, if you think about it, a down low man is a man living a double life. So I guess we're on the right track. The video that was shown was about an author by the name of J.L. King. He is known for a bestseller on the down low. Being on the down low is nothing new. It's been going on for years, more appropriately, generations. But for those who really are not familiar with the term, I will try to give a brief summary of what it means to be on the down low. First off, society is still deeply homophobic, which simply means it's not safe for individuals to be openly gay and feel comfortable. So men in particular are compelled to be in relationships with women that perhaps might even lead to a marriage, although their thoughts and feelings are with the same sex. Unfortunately for the women, their marriage is a lie. They have been deceived to thinking that this man that is staring them straight in the eyes and saying, "I love you," is really the man they see. When men are on the down low, they have sexual desires for other men. The lifestyle these men choose to live are filled with deception, adultery, and homosexuality. I remember Proverbs chapter 26, verse 24, enemies disguise themselves with their lips, but in their hearts they harbor deceit. Though their speech is charming, do not believe them. For 7 abominations fill their hearts. Their malice may be concealed by deception, but their wickedness will be exposed in the assembly. I remember this old saying, God works in mysterious ways. But what I rarely hear people say is that Satan works in mysterious ways as well. As we all know, homosexuality is a sin, but it's almost as if we are taking that sin and putting it on steroids. There's nothing about being on the down low that is godly, even if these men praise the Lord and take themselves to church every single day. As long as they continue engaging in homosexuality, being an adulterer, and deceiving their wife, Satan is very happy. I realize there are some people in this world who don't believe in Satan. Some may not even believe in God. So this video may be confusing for you if you choose to follow through to the end. I want to first start with this. Society has promoted men to be much more comfortable with their sexuality than women. A woman with 8 children is almost always looked at differently as compared to a man with 8 children. That's just how it's been. Unfortunately, society division and acceptance of a man's sexual behavior doesn't make it godly. In John chapter 2, verse 16, for all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. Men respond strongly to visual cues. Some can get aroused just by what they are viewing, either on television or in person. Keep in mind, a male sex drive is pretty much separate from love. This is one reason why women should never consider sex as a form of love or commitment. She would definitely get her feelings hurt. Men also have the capabilities of being sexually attracted to someone they don't even like. A good question to ask, are men truly born like this? Or has society dictated how males should behave? I can tell you right now, if I don't like a woman, then my interest in intimacy with her won't be there. But I'm sure there are some men who think differently.
You hide your behavior. What did you used to do?
Hide. I didn't have to hide. I was just being myself. I didn't switch, I didn't do anything any different than my friends or my cousins or my boys did. It was me. I was just a young man growing up.
But I would imagine that if you're having sex with men, you'd have to maybe, go to a hotel, go somewhere.
In high school, no. I wasn't sexually active at all in high school.
I'm talking about after you got married and started to have sex with men.
Well, after I got sex with men, I didn't have to, because my wife was so happy with our marriage. We had a beautiful marriage. We had beautiful children. We had a beautiful home. I was very respected. I was a great breadwinner for the family. Her mother and father loved me. Her brothers loved me. I didn't do anything different. I made sure that my tracks were always covered. Keep in mind, down low men are excellent actors. So I knew how I didn't have to raise any type of questions whatsoever. So when I did creep out to have sex with other men, it was easy for me to do that, because all I had to do was tell her, I'm going to visit my mom, or I'm going to the park, or I'm going to work out.
And she trusted every word you said.
Why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she? I wasn't cheating on her. In her mind, I was the perfect husband. We had great sex life. I went to church with her every Sunday. We had dinner as a family every night. We together with the families every Sunday. So there was no reason for her to even suspect that her husband was cheating on her.
Being intimate with someone should not just be based on an act of getting to ejaculation. It should also be an emotional and spiritual connection. When males fail to live their life based on a godly and spiritual care, you leave an opening for Satan or evilness to take hold of your spirit, and it will cause you to do things that you know is wrong, but you just can't stop it. Down-low men have trained their minds that they cannot expose to the world who they really are. So they go to the extent of marriage with the opposite sex. They accept that living the lie is better than the truth. They have no problem sleeping with women, marrying a woman, and even starting a family just to hide who they really are. Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. I believe all women are blessed with having an intuition. If a woman has a good feeling that something is going on with her partner, then it probably is. Believe what God is revealing to you. Choosing to ignore God's signs will not only have drastic consequences for your partner, but for you as well.
One day, she followed me to my guy's house who I was sexually active with, and she saw me. She saw me in the act, and it devastated her, and it devastated her life from that day because I got sloppy. I got really, really sloppy, and I became very arrogant, and I became very cocky, and I thought I could do no wrong.
How did you handle that, being caught in the act?
Oh, even though she saw me with her own eyes, I still denied that she saw me because nobody could believe that Jay King was gay, that Jay King was having sex. She had a hard time convincing people, from my parents to our family members to our friends, that what she saw was true because I did not fit that mold what a gay man was. So that people couldn't believe that. They thought she made it up. And I refused to accept it. And I refused to say to people, yes, she saw what she did, because I wasn't ready to be exposed. So I still tried to hide it as long as I could. But it got to a place where, as a father of a daughter, I knew that I had to do something. And I had met so many women who were HIV positive because of that, being married or being involved with men who have double lives. I had been to so many funerals, both my friends and their wives and girlfriends who had died from AIDS way back in the day before, the medicine that's in place right now. I had got so tired of seeing so many of my friends having boyfriends on the side, and yet these beautiful women who loved them and respected them and made them a happy home, and it kind of ate me up. And then I had a daughter who was growing up, and I did not want my daughter to meet a man who was like her daddy. That scared me. So I knew that there was no model or a face to this behavior. So much prayer, God kind of said, okay, you will be the face of this behavior. And I stepped forward, wrote the book, and
I've even heard some women decide to forgive and accept their husband's behavior of living a double life. Forgiving a person's behavior is not easy to do. There are scriptures that speak about forgiving others for their vicious acts, but that's not the scripture we are referencing to. We are speaking to individuals who choose not only to live in sin, but repeat that sinful act over and over again. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26 to 27. For if we go on sinning deliberately after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but a fearful expectation of judgment and a fury of fire that will consume the adversaries. In other words, Balmo men know their sins are wrong, but they have chosen to repeat the behaviors. Your wife forgiving and making a decision to stay by your side is not going to free you from God's decisions. You will suffer greatly for your actions. God does not tolerate sin, and neither should you. The Lord certainly forgives sin, but He also commands you to renounce and forsake it. Remember that Jesus forgave the woman caught in adultery, but admonished her, "Go, and from now on sin no more." John chapter 8, verse 11. It is not loving to allow a person to remain stuck in sin. It is not hateful to tell a person he or she is in sin. In fact, the exact opposites are true. James chapter 1, verse 15. Sin leads to death, and we love the sinner by speaking the truth in love. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15. We hate the sin by refusing to condone, ignore, or excuse it. It has been statistically reported from the Center Disease and Control that down low men or men that have sex with men have the highest sexually transmitted disease rates than any other subject study. Men on the down low are so self-centered they are not caring or thinking about their behavior and how it drastically affects others. They don't care because their entire life is a lie. They don't love their wife because in so many ways they don't love themselves. A down low man is putting himself at risk because he doesn't care. In Ephesians chapter 5, 25, verse 28, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church. In this same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself.
Jael, is that one of the warning signs, let's say, for women watching, the woman that you want to reach? Is that one of the warning signs that, let's just say, your man becomes suddenly more rough when he has sex with you? What are some of these warning signs that women watching need to be aware of for detecting whether they're guys on the DL?
It's, put together a DVD because I get asked that question a million times all over the world. And I've done this since 2000, almost 2000. And I'm always asked that question, what are the signs? How can you tell? And I always tell women that unless you actually see him, there are really no tell-all signs. A lot of men get sloppy like they do. And if I tell my women friends, as well as my daughter and all my daughters, that if something inside you tell you something's not right, then get nosy. Check his email, check his cell phone if you have access to his password. Look underneath the bed, look in the car, because he may have condoms, he may have porno, he may watch gay porno on the internet, he may tell you he's going to the gym, and he may end up going to the park where there's guys who have sex there. He may decide to make a trip to Jamaica or Aruba. Like in Jamaica, a lot of guys over there, they come to Atlanta or to the United States to have sex. Just this past weekend was Black Gay Pride here in Atlanta, and there had to be 75 to 80,000 Black men and lesbian women here. And there's a group of Caribbean men, gay men, down low men, who get together every year when it comes to Atlanta. And it's a very large group of them, and they get together and they have sex parties and they have a great time, and then before they go back to Jamaica or Aruba or Bahamas, where they're from, they put their straight face back on. And that's what has always concerned me, especially with men and women in the Caribbean, is that because I know Jamaica is very homophobic, it knows that. Yeah. A lot of my Jamaican friends say they're afraid to even think about coming out because of all the stuff that can happen to them, from death to all the stuff that we hear about all the time. So when they come back to Jamaica, they leave that behavior behind.
Lastly, I want to say this. During my research, I found this definition. For those who are going to do or be willing to do anything, no matter how long, in order to achieve one's objective. Let me slightly reword this definition. If you decide to do anything, no matter how wrong it is, just to achieve your own satisfaction or gratification, do you know where this definition came from? I'll help you out. It was a simple Google search on what does it mean to sell your soul to the devil. To sell your soul to the devil simply means you are willing to do anything no matter how long it is, just so you can get what you want, whatever that may be. There are a lot of people that have sold their soul. It's just not neon on the down low. In Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 to 38, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. Neon on the down low have lost focus on what their spirit is here for and the duties of living a godly path. Satan has a way of disguising himself and taking our greatest weaknesses and using it against us. One day, the day will come when the end is near. A light will shine through your soul of a tainted spirit. The light brings comfort and peace as you may feel rejoiceful. But without notice, that light will quickly turn to darkness, as fear and anxiety will pierce through your spirit. It is at this very moment you realize a life filled with pleasure and deception was the worst decision you ever made. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment and consider subscribing for more videos.